When you see it, as your bus goes by, you're going to see about a third of the way up, the stone changes color because they built it from initially from 1848 to 1858. They ran out of money. Then the Civil War hit. Then it took a while to kind of get a congressional appropriation to finish it. And then when they went back to the quarry, they couldn't get stone the same color. The people who built this cathedral, they knew about that. So they chose a stone that no matter how many decades, and it took 83 years to build this cathedral, they would have a consistent color throughout. If you look behind you, you'll see another tomb. There are about 225 people buried here at the cathedral. In addition to Wilson, probably the most famous person is Helen Keller. And if we have time, we'll go see where there's a plaque mentioning that. Can anybody guess what war this man might have fought in and what he might have done? What's your guess?
World War I?
World War I, yeah, because he's wearing jodhpurs. And he's got a gun, and then in his left hand, he has, what do you see in his left hand?
Binoculars.
They're goggles. He was a flyer. And as I mentioned at Wilson's tomb, you know, originally, in World War I, America was neutral. We weren't taking sides at all. But there were a lot of Americans who said, no, I need to go fight for France and Britain because what's happening over there is wrong. So he went over, he volunteered to fight for France with a group called the Lafayette Escadrille. They were a group of Americans who volunteered. He did lose his life in that war and is buried here. Going up to the high altar.
Holy cow. Dang. There's just people over here. Whoa, dang. We were just over there. Cushion.
So we're now up at the high altar. It's one of the holiest places in the cathedral. You see that statue of Christ in Majestus. That's a very traditional way of presenting Christ in a shape that resembles that oval is kind of like a fish. The fish was one of the really early Christian symbols for Christ. You'll notice the stone is different. It's more of an ivory color. It actually comes from France. It's called Caen limestone. And this is the primo carving stone. So if you ever want to become a stone carver, Indiana limestone's great too. But this is the primo stone carver stone. You can get the most detail out of it apparently. It is about 1/10 of a mile from that statue of Christ in Majestus to the entry point in the West End. We are the 6th largest cathedral in the world, the 2nd largest in the United States. Anybody want to guess the largest cathedral in the world?
Is it in New York?
That's the largest in the United States, St. John the Divine in New York. But the largest in the world is in Italy. Do you know what it might be called? Oh.
The Italy Cathedral.
Yep, it's where the Pope is at the Vatican. So, we're big on stone connections to other places. So the altar itself, it comes from stones that come from Jerusalem, the Holy Land, from a quarry that's, tradition is, it's the same quarry King Solomon's temple was built from. Embedded in the floor are 10 stones from Mount Sinai. Anybody know what happened on Mount Sinai in the Bible?
Moses got the 10 Commandments.
Moses got the 10 Commandments, so that's why those 10 stones are there. Did you have a question?
Has the Pope ever been here?
Great question. A lot of people ask whether the Pope has ever been here, because the Pope visited Washington, D.C. just a couple of weeks ago. The Pope has never been to this cathedral. There are some beautiful Roman Catholic churches in the Washington, D.C. area, and so he usually goes there. There's a large basilica, and there's also that Cathedral of St. Matthew that I mentioned where President Kennedy had his funeral. And he went both places. Yeah. Any other questions? So to have a cathedral, you don't need a 100-foot ceiling, you don't need a 1/10 of a mile aisle, you need a seat for your bishop, a cathedra. In our religious tradition, the Episcopal Church, we have men and women bishops. The bishop of this cathedral is a woman. And of course, the stones from which that cathedral were carved, they came from someplace else. A place called Glastonbury Abbey in England. There's a lot of King Arthur traditions at Glastonbury Abbey, but it's also, the tradition is it's the oldest seat of Christianity. If you look behind you, you'll see some of our pipes of our organ. There's actually over 10,600 pipes. Most are not visible. They're up here where you see these empty windows, but they can really fill the church. You can see some trumpet pipes over the high altar. Anyone have any questions about the high altar? We're going to move on to St. Mary's Chapel.
Austin. Dad. Is there something down there? Oh gosh. Ow.
So she just asked, like, when do we use that kind of area up there at the high altar? It's used a lot like a chapel. If you were to Google bride at Washington National Cathedral, there would be a beautiful picture of the bride with a long train up at the high altar. So they didn't have weddings up there. They don't have the new Eucharist today will be up there. They have services where the choir will sit and there's an each service called the Good Song, and then the congregation and the choir will sit there together. If you one of the really
This isn't more comfortable. Stop taking pictures. Smile. Smile. But. I don't wanna win.
So this chapel is in honor of Jesus' mother Mary. You see her at the top holding the Christ child, and in the center, praying with St. John at the crucifixion. Around Mary are scenes, around the scenes of Mary's life. And then you see two figures, and those are large self-figures. If you were to go to Europe and visit cathedrals there, every altar piece shows the donors of the chapel communion and prayer in that way. A lot of you came up and saw this too. This is where Mr. and Mrs. Anderson are buried here at the cathedral. And Mrs. Anderson loved children, so that's why I didn't mind went up and took a picture, and she really loved that. But she didn't have any children of her own.
You did that.
Their house
For
now,
8 minutes.
their house where they lived in D.C. is now the Society of Cincinnati.
I'm gonna stop it at 10 minutes.
Well, George Washington was the first president of the Society of Cincinnati. The organization started after the American Revolution to for the people who were officers, so it's mostly French and American. During the Revolution, their descendants
With the Illuminati.
other than that, we're gonna head out this way.
Wait, what? Where are we going? Hey, sure looks true. I'm actually see it. Wait, go. Okay. Right here. I want to push it.